Alright everybody, welcome back to another model review by Hans. And let me tell you this, if you're a just getting started YouTuber who's doing some reviews of some little obscure model companies in Eastern Europe that most people have never heard of, it's pretty mellow of a job. Try reviewing flippin' Bandai. Seriously, that's what I'm going to try to do here. I am going to give a model builder's review of Bandai's Gunpla line of model kits. Gee, nothing small about that task today, huh? So, if you are not familiar with the Gundam world, first of all, welcome out to the sunlight and out from under that rock that you have been living under for 45 years. And also welcome to probably one of the larger Japanese icons of the industry, both in the model building world and in popular culture. So we did a review a while back about Games Workshop and how that's a big deal. They have books, they have shows, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's give you a comparison here. If you go to Gundam base in Japan, they have a life-size, one-to-one moving, lit-up Gundam that actually does stuff on a schedule, and the flippin' thing is 6 stories tall. Games Workshop bought an old tank, painted it blue, and put it in the parking lot. That's the difference here. So, okay, let's get a little more serious. So Gunpla, or Gundam plastic model kits, have been around for about 45 years now. They are an outgrowth of a cartoon series that, well, the first of the many cartoon series, broke a lot of ground in a lot of ways, created its own mold, and has been a cultural phenomenon ever since. And if you are into giant stompy robot cartoons that actually have a very in-depth plot that looks at humanity and how warfare can affect things and the gray areas that comes from it, I honestly really recommend the shows because they are damn well written, and just because somebody drew something on a piece of paper with some color doesn't mean it's for kids. It is very well written and very adult-oriented content that just also happens to have giant stompy robots that makes it fun. Usually. There's also some pretty sad stuff in there and some pretty bleak storylines. But anyway, the many cartoon series over the years have spawned an unbelievably large lineup of model kits of said giant stompy robots, or Gunpla as the proper term is, which stands for Gundam Plastic Model Kits. Now, as a model builder, if you are not familiar with these, that's okay. They build very different. And a co-worker of mine, I showed him some pictures of mine. He thought they looked neat. He went out and bought himself one, and in the past year he bought about 15 more, and he's doing a full build, perfect grade Gundam Unicorn with all the booster packs, the photo etch, the light up, and everything. It's addictive crap over here, man. Let me tell you, Gundam can be addictive. Now, what makes that addictive? What makes these different? What makes these such a big deal? So I will tell you, these do not build or present anything like your traditional Western cultured model kits. Now, I don't care who you buy, Tamiya, Academy, DML, Ryefield, whatever. You buy your historical military models, and they are very static things. You build them, you put them together, you glue them, you paint them, you put them on a shelf, and they are what they are forever. Until you break them, and then you throw them out. Gundam are much different. So the one thing here is my Gundam Barbatos here. Now, for those of you familiar with Gunpla, I apologize for the simplicity of all this, but for the regular model builders out there, I will tell you this. The only thing I used that wasn't in the box was a pair of clippers. I have applied no paint, I have applied no glue. This is only the parts that came in the kit that I took off the sprues. I'm sorry, in Gundam parlance, that's a runners. Took the parts off the runners, put them together. Press fit. Yes, I said press fit. That's the other thing too. You can glue these things if you want, but they are press fit kits. Now here's the other cool thing. These kits, as I look at my Demi Barding here, these kits are designed for posability. No, I'm not gonna look at the Demi Barding because he's not great. Look at the Barbatos again. These kits are fully articulated, they are movable, they are posable. They do that. But realistically, so they are very dynamic in what they are. These are not locked in place. They are much more than your standard model kit. Now we'll fix him later. I'll fix him later. That just knocked something off of him. But like I said, Gundams are different. They are sort of a hybrid between an action figure and a model kit, steering more towards the model kit side. Like I said, you don't have to paint them. You can paint them. In fact, Gundam, Bandai, their Gundam Builder World Cup is an annual contest where you will see phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal builds done by model builders worldwide at a level that most other model shows just cannot compete with. Again, like I said, cultural icon of Japan, and it shows. Now, if you're going to go out and build a Gundam kit, like I said, they build different because they are, for the most part, press fit. The plastics are all pre-molded in the colors representing the box art. But Bandai also very highly, and the cultural community around Gunpla also very highly supports the concept of customization, building, changing what you want them to be. To the point where they have a 4-season cartoon series where the entire concept is people that like to build Gundam models customize them to whatever they want them to be, to their own specs, and then put them into a computer game to fight battles with them. It sounds silly, but I actually really enjoy the Gundam Builder. The Gundam Build World universe is actually kind of fun. I do enjoy it. Again, like I said, there's just so much different stuff with Gundam that you can do. Now, if you want to go out and build yourself a Gundam model kit, I recommend the following. Find a hobby shop that has Gundam kits. Look at the shelf. Find the one that looks cool. And buy it. I will add a couple more I keep hitting stuff. I will add a couple more details on that, though, with the different lineups, because the other very unique thing with Gundam model kits is they have multiple skill levels based on the builder. They have about a half a dozen, I think now, possibly more, actual skill levels to their kits. If you are a young kid and you've never done a model kit before, they have entry grade. That is literally what they call them, entry grade kits. They are in 1 to 1/44 scale. They look pretty good for what they are, but they're very simple to build. Their articulation is more basic, but they are very accessible. You can get one of those kits, go home, and in an hour you have a cool looking little robot on your model shelf. And you're gonna say, hey, that looks just like the box. Like I said, accessible. If you want a bit more detail, and you're in the regular lineup, in 1 to 1/44 scale, they have their high-grade kits. That is the Gundam bread and butter. Of the many, many series they've had, pretty much everything that ever went across a frame on screen has a high-grade kit available in it. Hundreds of kits have been made available for them. But just because they're not the most complex does not reduce anything from what they are. High-grade kits look fantastic. My demi barding here, I mean, I'm halfway done with a repaint job on it as I build it. This was like a $15 kit. I put it together in like 2 hours. Looked great, but when I'm coming back to paint it, it's really, there's just so much cool stuff about it. If you want to go a bit more complex, but you like that scale, you can go with what they call their real grade kits. Their real grade kits have a much higher level of detail and complexity. They do a lot more really cool things. They have a lot more gimmicks to them. And that is one of the things that across the Gundam lineup, they have all sorts of different gimmicks that different kits do different things, reconfigurable, the way they pose, what have you. Hatches that open, stuff like that. So the real grade stuff has more gimmicks to it. They call that, if you look at the box, it says RG for real grade. The high grade is HG. The real grade is a bit more expensive, a bit more complex, but sticks to the 1 to 1/44 scale. Now, they also have a 1/100th scale, and that's actually what they call it, 1/100th, which gets bigger. It's basically like a larger version of the high grade kits, but it's not very populous of a product line. But in the 1/100th, their bread and butter is the master grade. Now, I have my Goof custom here, and master grade for me is where it's at. You get a bit bigger, you get a lot more detail, a lot more posability. The lineup is not as broad, but as a more advanced model builder, that's where I find my enjoyment to it. I mean, I have other master grade kits here as well, ready to build. That guy, he's a master grade over there. I tend to prefer master grade kits, but like I said, they're not as broad of a line, and the release rate has been fairly slow the past few years. Or you can go really crazy. You can go perfect grade. Like I have my perfect grade wing custom here, or wing zero. Or I haven't built it yet, my perfect grade strike noir. Sorry, strike rouge. Strike rouge is the correct term there. Perfect grade is 1/60th scale. Very few releases in that one. The older one's much more simplistic. The newer ones, oh boy, are they good. The perfect grade unicorn is a phenomenal and very complicated kit. The perfect grade strike lineup is not quite as new. They're a bit older. Still really cool stuff. I will say though, with the perfect grades, if you see one you like, do look at the reviews because quality varies a lot depending on how long they've been out. These kits, and in general, Gundam kits have been around for over 40 years, 4 decades. Yeah, they've been around for 40 years. You've only seen them for the past 10 to 15 in the US because they only really got here recently, but they've been building these kits for 40 years. And Bandai, over 40 years of spending a whole lot of money on engineering. Oh my goodness, these kits will put anybody to shame in the quality of their engineering work. Like I said, these are all push fit kits in the modern lineup. Tamiya, phenomenally built kits, excellent engineering. No, nobody holds a plastic tolerance as well as Bandai. Now, let's take the next step here. I'm going to crack open a perfect grade kit here. Not a perfect grade. Perfect grade's too damn, no, I don't have enough time for perfect grade. I'm going to crack open one of my master grade kits here and show you how these kits are built because like I said, they are very, very different. So we'll see what we got going on inside one of these kits. Now, opening it up, we'll see, of course, what the kit looks like in here. Top opening box. I have had this open before. Normally, the instruction manual is on the bottom. I took it out to kind of show it a little better. Really nothing too special in their instructions, so I'll go through these pretty quick. Your box art is on the front. Inside the first page, you're going to see they're going to have a lot of lore about the Gundam that the kit includes. A lot of this is not specific to the kit. This is more how it factors into the various animes. The story behind it. This particular one, because the RX-78 has such a long lineage throughout all the series, shows all the different versions of it. Some of the additional Earth Federation Gundams that feature in the series, such as the gun tank, the gun cannon, and the Jim, as well as some of the later Gundams from later series, such as the Zeta, the Double Zeta, and the NT-1, and how they evolve through the different versions. Now, other than the cover, most of this is going to be black and white. Typical runners that are included in the kit. Quite a lot as always. The one drawback with the black and white though is of course you don't get color to let you know what sprue you're using. Standard black and white line drawings, goes through different stages. The core fighter shows you the runners that are used, various steps in it. As long as you follow along pretty nice and easily, these are usually pretty easy to follow. And like I said, it'll work through different segments, such as then we move into the body. Lots of parts on the Master Grade 3.0. I'm not going to lie, this is not a simple kit, not one I'd recommend for beginners. Into the head, the arms. In the middle, you'll typically have some kind of a full color centerfold there, showing a lot of the features of the kit and how it relates to the series. If you do want to paint it, these are all the paint callouts to match what is correct for the anime, including for the figure. Usually these are, again, in Japanese. So you might have to get your Google Translate out to see what paints those really are. Nice image there of the full scale with some accessory figures on a hanger base. Into some of the later instructions, again, still sticking with the arms here. The hands are really cool. I think I mentioned those before, but you cut those off the sprue and they're, runner. I keep making that mistake. They're fully posable from there. And one thing you'll learn if you build numerous Gundams, the legs are probably the more complicated parts of the kit. Down into the waist. How it all goes together, and then you get into the accessories such as the optional LED unit, how to install the core fighter. The weapons come, of course, after the full Gundam is built. How those go together, how to use the various features in them, how to attach them, how to pose them. Very cool stuff, but like I said, not the most complex. And then some just final examples here showing how it attaches to the optional action base. Layout for the stickers, how those all go on there. And yes, I said stickers, get to that in a moment. And on the back, just Earth Federation logo. letting you know what the kit is. Now, the one thing you're going to notice with all these kits, though, is, man, look at all the colors. I mean, this is a hallmark of Gundam. This is a hallmark of what Bandai does. On this single runner, you've got blue, red, and yellow. They do that a lot where they have a multicolored runner. Just parts after parts after parts. Like I said, because everything is molded separately color-wise, they are all big runners, big runners and small runners. Another multicolor here with white, dark gray, red, and clear. And it's a little hard to capture, but if you check this out, this is actually two different gray tones here, two different light gray. This adds more depth to the build, gives you a little more texture, just a little more oomph to the build. Typically, your inner frame is going to be in a dark gray. Sometimes it's in like a more of a brownish color, but typically a dark gray. Over here again, you're going to see, it's a little trickier to see. Well, these are actually the same white, but a lot of different colors on it. Now, if we look at the actual runners themselves, like I said, the multicolor that they have here, I'll get that out of the background so you can see a little better. Very crisp mold detail. Typically, your sprue attachment points are very delicate, easy to clean up. They make these things very easy to build. In there, of course, we have the seated pilot figure. A little unusual on this one because he only goes down to the mid-thigh. His lower legs are missing, but trust me, in the anime, he has full legs there. It just, you can't see it there, but all sorts of different little parts. Now, one thing you do see in a lot of the kits, this is what they call an effect sprue, which is basically if you have the beam sabers out, of course, this is the beams on the sabers. Very cool stuff you see a lot of the times for, again, the beam sabers, which are very common, or any beam-oriented weapons. Sometimes you'll see effects parts like this for various flame elements, things like that, just to add a little more spice to it. So, and let me go grab another kit here, show you a little more what they look like when built. I did forget one element that I wanted to talk about. That is the stickers. So this is the sticker sheet that comes with the RX-78-2 3.0. These are peel and stick stickers. These are not water slide decals. The majority of your Gundam kits that come with any kind of sticker element, they will be peel and stick. They are not water slide decals because, as I mentioned before, these are kits that are made to be quickly built with minimal extra tooling and anything like that required. Oftentimes you will find either from Bandai or in the aftermarket, you'll find water slide decals available. I do tend to try to find those when possible, but they can be a little tricky at times. It's one of the few things that I really don't like about a Gundam kit is the peel and stick stickers, especially in cases like this where you have these coppery metallic stickers where they try to add that imagery to it. A lot of times I'll go back with like a chrome paint pen or something like that to get the same effect, but a little cleaner than using these stickers. Now, I did debate which kit I was going to show you from this standpoint here because I have a couple that I really enjoy. As modelers, I did want to show the Goof Custom because this is a kit that I really enjoy the way this looks. I think it's one of the best looking of the various Zaku variants out there. In the master grade, though, the Goof Custom is not a well-regarded kit because it does require a lot of cleanup. Like you have a lot of prominent seam lines up here that needed to be cleaned up. Most Gundam kits, more modern kits, do not have that. They actually do a lot of work, such as here, where the parts are layered in order to show you a seam line which naturally blends in with where it would be on the actual subject matter. So yes, there are seams here, but the seams are where they would be on the one-to-one subject. And pretty much nothing, whoops, as his arm falls off. Pretty much nothing is undetailed. The bottom of the boots there, a lot of detail added there. And you're going to see a lot of that where elements that are not necessarily visible are going to be shown very clearly. And this is actually one of the other elements I was going to show you that I don't necessarily always enjoy with Gundams is that I am not the best at posing these. So a lot of times when I'm doing things with them, they fall apart. This is actually more a trend with older polycap kits like this one here is, where all the joints are held together with those rubbery polycaps, and they can fall apart at times. Older kits like this one also, their posability is not as great, not as much flexibility to it. The newer the kit, the more flexible it is, but like I said, I'm giving this example also just to show that even an older kit that is not considered one of the best of the Gundam world, this is still a fantastic kit. Like I said, if you have some modeling experience, you just cannot go wrong. And in the world of the gimmicks, I do not remember the name of the pilot here. It's a little tricky to open it up. Well, I'll probably do it I can't get it right now, but usually the cockpit will open actually to show you the pilot posed in there. Oftentimes your weapons can be removed as needed for posability, things like that. So just a lot of cool things that go into these kits, and I just can't speak highly enough of how they are. One thing you'll notice here though is I did spring for some aftermarket water slide decals because I just, like I said, I do not like the peel and stick stickers. So this here, of course, like I said, the Goof Custom. One thing I really didn't cover too much before, but as I was getting everything over here to wrap up this review, it reminded me of the posability thing is cool. Don't get me wrong. It does have its drawbacks though, as you might have seen as I kept knocking things off and stuff like that. If you're not going to glue these things together, they can at times be a bit on the fragile side. And a lot of times, like I said, I will put them into a pose I enjoy and leave them there. I don't really move them around too much just because I don't like reattaching hands and heads and V-fins very often. And it is a bit of an annoyance. But anyway, what do I think about Gundam? Well, honestly, I love the hell out of these things. You can see by how many I have. And the fact that I have been waxing poetically about how great Bandai is. Not perfect though, okay? So I'll tell you this. If you're gonna get into the high grade kits, there are some dogs here and there that just aren't that good. Most of them are very good, they're very buildable, very easy to build. Not a problem. Master grades for the most part as well, decent kits. The older ones that were kind of sucked, that most of them have been re-released as a 2.0 to improve the standards. Perfect grades are a definite hit or miss. Now, I happen to have one of the worst of them here. I can't pose this guy at all without it falling over because it's just the wings are too heavy, stuff like that. It's very, because this is one of the early, very early perfect grade kits out there. This guy has less detail than that guy. Okay, so if you're going to do perfect grade kits, I do recommend reviewing the specific kits because if you're going to spend a couple $100 on a kit, seriously, go out and find a review of it to make sure you know what you're getting into. High grade kits though. If it looks cool, buy it. What are you going to be out? You'll be out $15 if you don't like it, and you're not going to not like it. They're high-grade kits, they all build great. They look great. Master-grade kits, the majority of the time, are very good as well, unless it's a very early kit. And if you are a model builder, a lot of the foibles that the Gunpla community doesn't necessarily like may not apply to you because what's a little bit of glue and filler, right? I mean, all the other stuff I do, it's just glue, 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 paint, paint, paint. So if you have to put a little bit of glue, a little bit of paint, it's no big deal. But I will say the posability, I suck at posing these kits. I knock parts off all the time. Anyway, that's where I was talking. And then the other, of course, drawback, like I mentioned, is I can't stand the stupid stickers. I either don't use them or I go with aftermarket water slide decals because they really knock the quality of the build down a lot. And I get that these are made to be rapidly built, put on a shelf, and look cool. And if you want to get complex, you get complex. So that's what I do. Anyway, so how are we going to rate these things? Oh, the other thing I meant to address on this too is pricing too, because like I said, there's just a huge scale of what they have. So you get a high-grade kit, 10, 15, 20 bucks, not a problem. A lot of your master grades are going to start in the $30 to $40 range, but they can easily go up well over $100 for the more complex ones. Typically, box size denotes price. The bigger the box, the more expensive that it is. But high grade, honestly, some of the best kits out there are in the, master grade has some of the best kits out there. Like for instance, the Jesta here. Now, I was originally going to show you how this kit goes on the internal, but it didn't really show very well. This is a very well regarded kit. The master grade RX-78-2, either the 3.0. If you want more detail, the 2.0 is actually an extremely good kit if you want something a little more accurate to the anime and a little more a little more less is what I'm trying to say. As well as also like the Sinanju Stein over there, the Verka, very good kit, about $100 for that one. So with the master grades, if you're going to spend a lot more money, I would definitely do a little bit of review to make sure you know what you're getting into. As a model builder, like I said, if you're not against putting a little glue here and there, they can come out fantastic. Perfect grade is the one I will definitely recommend doing your research before you buy, because you don't want to spend $200, $250 or more You can easily, on some of the fully optioned big special edition perfect grades, all of the accessories, spend hundreds upon hundreds on a single kit. You want to do your research because, like I said, the perfect grades are not that many out there. The earlier ones can kind of suck. There's a few that are pretty bad because Bandai was learning as they go, and they just didn't have a depth to the product line to work out the bugs. The Strike lineup, very good buy for your money, very good kits. The Wing Custom, I would not recommend as a first perfect grade kit. So, like I said, your mileage may vary. Now, as far as how do I rate these kits, right? So, assuming that you paid attention to me telling you which grades are the better ones for what you're looking to do, if you are a rookie model builder, if you're a casual model builder, if you don't want to put any effort into it, you just want a giant stompy robot on your shelf that looks cool, thumbs up, go for it. These are A+ kits. Top of the line as far as accessibility to new builders, particularly if you stick to your high grade stuff and some of the better master grade stuff. I would steer away from the perfect grades until you get some experience with it. Some of the master grades might be a bit on the complex side as well, but if you've got a few complex model builds under your belt, most of the master grades are fine. But again, if you've never built a kit before, almost every one of the high grades is going to look cool. No effort to it. Like I said, for new builders, if you stick with the rules, A+. Top rated stuff here. If you're an experienced model builder, I'm up there too. Grade A type of things. Because, like I said, the engineering is very good on them. If you don't mind a little bit of glue here and there, if you want to build them like a regular model kit, you really can't ask for better. Their quality is very good. Their detail is very good. They look cool. The lineup is broad. I mean, if you can work an airbrush and do some blending on your paint, or for instance, if you're like a Warhammer builder and you know how to really, if you really know how to use a lot of the Warhammer type techniques, you put it on these things, holy crap, they can look good. And so if you are a more advanced model builder, I would steer towards the master grades. The master grade Verka lineup in particular. So those are sort of special reimagined versions of a lot of these kits to add different features, complexity, and a bit of a customized look to it. Like I said, the master grade Verkas, you're going to really love these things. Grade A plus type of kits. And that's where I'm going to leave it with the Bandai. I kind of hope I didn't ramble too long. I hope I gave you guys useful information. Appreciate the feedback of what people have been telling me. So that is where I'm going to close today on another model review by Hans. If you liked this, please hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. If you think I sucked, well, you don't have to press them any, do you? It's okay. I understand. This isn't for everybody. But anyway, like I said, I have more stuff coming up in the near future. I have some RC stuff coming up in the near future. I have some fun projects in that as well. So anyway, I will catch you guys next time.